Why do you think it's important to get clear on your worldview?
If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. And if you don't know who you are on that journey, it's very hard to make impact, I think. So getting clarity on who you are and what you're about is huge. I mean, we talk about even just getting clarity on your core values as a family if you're not going to do it, if you're not a business owner, like your personal core values. That's kind of like your guiding light, your compass of, hey, when things are bad, these are the things that I look back on to make sure that I'm centered and focused. So if you don't have clarity on that, it's pretty hard to make decisions in good times, but especially in bad times when you don't have something to fall back on.
Welcome to the Exceptional Companies Podcast, a podcast for purpose-led entrepreneurs looking to master the art of buying, selling, or optimizing small businesses. Your host, Chris Seegers, founder of Exceptional Companies and author of Selling Main Street, has over a decade of experience starting, buying, and leading successful businesses. He's here to guide you through the complex world of business transactions and growth. Each week, we dive deep with actionable insights, expert interviews, and real-world strategies to activate and equip you to live exceptionally and build exceptional businesses. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Here's your host, Chris Seegers.
Welcome to the Exceptional Business Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Chris Seegers, where we explore how to buy, sell, and optimize your small business. I want to introduce my guest who is close to home. His name is Marcus Seegers. He is an operational guru. He's a partner with me in many of my businesses and in our Exceptional Companies family office, as well as Exceptional Media. And I would say his superpower is optimizing and integrating any business, could be $1 million revenue to 100 million revenue. What I love most about him is his ability to problem solve anything that comes up. And obviously, I'm biased since he's my brother. Welcome to the show, Marcus.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So we're just going to dig into a little bit about purpose. So we are building a course around purpose and core values and how you think about your life. We also coach a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and our team on this. So let's chat a little bit about that. Who are some of the people who have impacted your purpose and how? Maybe some of the mentors or folks that you've had in your life, or even just books or things that have really helped you refine your purpose in life.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot. I think family is a big one for us, especially. Like we have a lot of older siblings and people within our family that have been huge in impacting our purpose. I think for both of us, our grandfather, Paul Seegers, has been a big one. He was a successful entrepreneur, and he definitely kind of started the thinking around, hey, you don't have to work for somebody for the rest of your life. You can have your own business and you can create your own team and build your own impact. Books wise, I would say thinking about habits is huge for me because that helps you kind of frame around what your purpose is. So Atomic Habits has been a huge book for just kind of building out frameworks for life. And then lately, a big book that I've been looking into and kind of digging into is As a Man Thinketh, which is all about how your thoughts lead to your reality in your life. And so taking those concepts, you kind of start to build out your purpose statement by really thinking about long-term what's important to you and what your core values are and the impact that you want to have on your community and your family or whatever small sphere that you can go as big or small as you want. But our sphere, obviously, you and me, is pretty big because we want to have big impact on our community and hopefully the nation long term. But you can build it as small as you want when it comes to your purpose.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. So we coach our team and a lot of budding entrepreneurs or folks that are selling their businesses, buying businesses, or trying to optimize their business. We've had a lot of success across the board. And one of the big areas that we focus on is clarity. So we've developed a curriculum called The Exceptional Way. And before we really dig into the blueprint, we talk about clarity. And so we coach on clarity of kind of 4 areas. Number 1 is clarity of your worldview. Number 2 is clarity of where you're going. So your future, your dynamic future, your dream future, whatever you want to call it. Number 3 is clarity of your current reality. So where are you today? Accurately assessing that. And then clarity of the blueprint or the path to get there. So I want to touch a little bit on clarity of worldview. So The reason why this is important is I believe there's really only two worldviews. A great mentor of mine once said, "You have only one decision in life, Chris. That decision is, will you serve yourself or will you serve others?" And so when we coach, especially sellers that are transitioning out of their business, we coach a lot on clarity of the worldview before we even start about where they want to go, what their dream life is, what their future retirement would look like. We say, hey, if we're to coach you, we need to understand, is your worldview one that is self-focused or is it one that is others focused? So me focused or we focused? Why do you think that's important, Marcus? Why do you think it's important to get clear on your worldview?
If you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. And if you don't know who you are on that journey, it's very hard to make impact, I think. So getting clarity on who you are and what you're about is huge. I mean, we talk about even just getting clarity on your core values as a family if you're not going to do it, if you're not a business owner, like your personal core values. That's kind of like your guiding light, your compass of, hey, when things are bad, these are the things that I look back on to make sure that I'm centered and focused. So if you don't have clarity on that, it's pretty hard to make decisions in good times, but especially in bad times when you don't have something to fall back on.
So what about clarity of the worldview though? I think a lot of folks don't actually analyze that and understand. They may live a life that is focused on giving, on, whether it be their time, their talents, or their treasures. But talk to me a little bit about clarity of worldview, because if you just choose, hey, I just want to selfishly live my life, you get to make that decision. However, statistically, the data would show the life that leads to fulfillment is one that is serving others using your unique ability. So tell me a little bit about maybe a story in your life where you thought through how to serve other folks, or your core values or mission came into play with your worldview as opposed to clarity in the other three quadrants.
So I think back to when I started my first business and I didn't have clarity in who I was, which kind of goes into your worldview and your unique talents. And so I was trying, like most entrepreneurs, to be the CEO, the COO, the CFO, everything. And really, I struggled in sort of the forward facing role. So I struggled in the part where I'm talking to customers and I'm building the business and I'm going out and getting deals, that kind of stuff. Where I really strived was in sort of a more COO level where I'm in charge of the operations and the integration of a business or of a team. And so I think when it comes to knowing yourself, that applies to kind of your worldview as well, because it's your talents being utilized in what you're going to apply them to your world, whether that's big or small. And I would say finding clarity in who I was and my unique abilities helped me craft kind of long-term what I wanted to do, which is really, serve God and serve others. And so I think that going through that experience of like, hey, I really want to do these things, but I suck at them and I don't like them. And coming to that realization, hey, I need to find kind of where my unique ability is before I can truly make impact on the people around me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for us, we are capitalist missionaries in our family office. So we do faith-led acquisition entrepreneurship. And we have realized when we are focused on serving ourselves, growing our net worth, growing our cash flow, that's generally when we start to fail as leaders. But if we can focus on how do we serve our team, our clients or customers, and our community, that's when opportunities open up. We're also abundance thinkers. So that's another part of our worldview is we believe we are anti-scarcity thinkers. So scarcity thinkers believe if I get something, it's taking something from you. Abundance believers believe we can make the pie bigger. So if we collaborate and work, that pie actually gets bigger. So you're never taking anything from me. We're actually generating more value for everybody involved as we're thinking through that abundance mindset. But statistics show if you live a life that's serving yourself, and that's generally consumption driven, right? So, hey, I want to have the best car, the most money, the nicest house. I want to, have as much sex as I want, or whatever it might be, whatever the big consumptions are. People that focus on that self-ish as opposed to selfless end up very miserable. So there's so many sad billionaires There's great folks like Ed Milet or Robin Sharma who coach billionaires, and they'll say that there's more sad and lonely billionaires than anybody else that they've seen. And even Solomon speaks a lot of that in the Word, where he talks about, hey, I've consumed everything. I've got all the gold, silver, all the houses, all the women, all this, and yet everything is useless and meaningless. So we've really coached folks through this service lens, and I'd like to apply that. So a great example is we've coached a variety of sellers, and there's kind of two camps. One is, I want to retire and consume. So I've earned this. I have the right to golf, drink, travel, eat all the food, do the things. Some of that is good, right? Like you want to be able to enjoy your time, have more freedom, etc. But the second camp is, and this is the camp that we are proponents of, hey, now I have freedom of my time, freedom of my capital, freedom of purpose, and freedom of relationship, the four big freedoms. And we encourage those folks to go hard the next 20 years. Now, that may not be like working, 9 to 5 or whatever, but that is, hey, you have all of this wisdom and time and capital. What's your biggest impact that you can do for your community, for your family, et cetera, instead of just basically becoming irrelevant by just, self-selecting out of society and just focusing on golf and consumerism. And what we found is there is a segment of folks that have focused on the selfish piece, and generally their health starts failing. They end up drinking more. They're really self-focused. Their community shrinks, and they end up being very unhappy. The other segment is the folks like my mentor, Vince Loftus, who he was coaching, probably 10 to 50 young men at a time, and was always full because he's learning and he's helping and he's serving and he's using his unique abilities towards the highest and best use of the community and the people. So we really, and even in the book, Selling Main Street, we talk a lot about that. Don't retire, inspire. And that comes from a worldview of service. So that's where we really want to drill this in. So there's two worldviews. One is me-centered or self-centered. One is we-centered. So we-centered is focused on serving. Even if you weren't raised that way and you don't have a faith impact, it psychologically is proven when you're serving people, you will live a happier, more fulfilled life. So that's why we really coach on that on the front end.
Do you like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now and check out our website, www.excoadvisors.com. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
Okay, let me transition a little bit. We're still on the topic of worldviews, clarity of purpose. What would you ask yourself, your younger self, to help them get clear on their purpose? What's a question, Marcus, that you would ask your younger self? Let's say the Marcus that's 10 years ago. What would you ask them if you were mentoring them to help them get clear on their purpose? What would be a good question?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I would ask them, if you had to get up and do something every single day for no money, or money was no object, how would you like to spend your time? Like, what gives you energy? What doesn't give you energy? That's a question that I ask our team a lot, is like, what makes you excited? What gives you energy throughout the day? And what are the things that you absolutely just drain your energy? And that gives you a pretty good understanding of at least the things that you enjoy doing. And then that can hopefully translate long-term into what your purpose is and what your why is. For me, spending a ton of time around people doing networking events, that drains my energy. So I know I'm not a people-focused centered person. I'm more a one-on-one person.
And that's the thing that gives me energy. So it's so good to understand your unique abilities. But I think that's a great question. So we talk a lot about that too, the law of magnetism. So what is attracting you or repelling you? And that helps you at least understand a little bit of clarity on your unique abilities and what you should pursue. What are some of the tools that we've created, Marcus, that could help some of our listeners and our readers in this journey? Is there a specific tool in our toolbox that you would recommend that they go through if they're trying to get clarity in their worldview, in their dream life, in their current reality, and in the blueprint to get there?
Yeah, we have a great tool. It's called the Clarity Tool. And it's really a combination of multiple tools combined together. It's got a tool to help you walk through crafting sort of your purpose statement. And then it's got a tool that helps you kind of at least start to narrow down what your core values are. And then you have a tool that helps you figure out where you want to be in 5 years. And then you kind of map out a plan backwards from the 5 years on how to get there. And so it's really about like, who are you? What are your core values? What is your purpose in life? And then where do you want to be in 10 years and how to get there?
Yeah, for sure. So if we talk about activating and equipping others to live an exceptional life, that's our goal, whether it be clients, customers, our team, et cetera, each other. We coach a lot on the 4 C's. So clarity, that's a big one. Consistency, commitment, and courage. So these are 4 attributes that we really talk a lot about. So get clear first, then be consistent, then courage and commitment. Yeah. So anyways, so those 4 ones, if we start with the clarity piece, that's a big batch of it. But once we have clarity of where we want to go, that's like the 1% step, right? So there's a lot of people, we tell our team a lot, everybody has the same goals. We want to have a happy life, have a healthy family, make good money, be able to do the things we want to do. But there's very few people that will take the consistent action. So the second C is consistency. So let's take that. So we've got clarity. We know where we want to go, where we are. Here's a blueprint. We've got our worldview dialed in and our purpose and core values. So now we've got to have consistent action. So what do you think, Marcus, is the thing that delineates or differentiates people that just take that consistent action from the people that have the same exact dream and do nothing?
People like to say discipline. I think that's wrong. I think it's habits. I don't think most people are necessarily born disciplined. I think that they just are forced through circumstance often to build out really good quality, healthy habits. So if you think about like a lot of ex-military guys, a lot of them become highly successful. And I think part of the reason for that is they went through, a half a dozen or a dozen years in the military where they had to have good, healthy habits every single day to succeed in the military. Waking up early, working out, doing your job, working hard, like just basic stuff. So if you get those habits, like I'm not a morning person. I've tried to be a morning person my entire life. I'm definitely not a morning person. But if you're like, okay, I'm going to get up every single day at 6 o'clock because I need to work out. Because if I don't get up at 6 o'clock, then I'm not going to get a workout in and I need to get a workout in. You get up every single day at 6 o'clock, you get accountability. Accountability is huge when building habits, like especially early on. You have an accountability partner. You're often my accountability partner, Chris. If I don't get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, I have to pay you $50.
Yeah.
And so you got to make the consequence painful. So if money's not important to you, it needs to be something else. But I think that's the key to get consistency. And then once you've built half a dozen decent, good quality, healthy habits, it gets easier to add on to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I
then
think
it's kind of like,
that's that concept of habit stacking, right? From Atomic Habits.
yeah, then you get habit stacking and then you start to cut out the negative ones. So it's like, okay, I've actually built out some bad habits that are affecting my good habits. So what do I need to cut out on that? Okay, I've got my morning routine good. I'm working out, but man, I'm eating really bad. So, okay, so what can I do to change that? Okay, I'm not going to buy unhealthy snacks and keep them in my house. I'm going to like create some distance between that for me. And you start to reduce the negative ones and increase the positive ones. And, you do that for 2-3 years. And suddenly you look back and you're like, wow, I am a completely different person than I was.
Yeah. And what was that statistic about the 1% improvement? Do you remember? If you get 1% better, what was the annual
every day?
Like 37 times improvement?
Yeah, I don't remember the number, but yeah, it's crazy. So 1% seems so easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a compound effect of habits. And these are some of the other tools we've got. So the personal scorecard. So once you've kind of had your 3-year plan, your 1-year plan, your 90-day action, then we build a scorecard around that 90-day action. So what are the habits you want to add? What are the ones you want to delete? What are the ones you're going to focus on this 90 days? And then Marcus keyed on it, like the next really critical thing that most people are lacking is tribe. So you can have tremendous habits and you can do them for 30 days, 45 days. But if you have a family and friends that are knocking you back down, so they want you to be back to the same level they are, not maliciously, but they don't want to get left behind. If you're surrounded by people like that, generally you're going to come back to that. So Ed Milet talks about the internal thermostat. If your internal thermostat is set at 70 degrees and you're like, I really want to be 90 degrees, I want to get that additional 20-degree difference of improvements in my life, in my health, in my family, in my fitness, whatever it might be, you're going to revert back to that 70. Now, if your friends are all 70 and you're trying to go to 90, you've got to find some friends that are at least 80, 85, 90 and surround yourself with them. It's a really difficult thing because often we feel guilty about leaving people behind. But I always say, look, you have one shot at this life. One. It's only you. There were only one Chris Seegers ever created in the history of mankind. Only one Chris Seegers will ever be created through the end of time. I've got one shot. I can't live it for other people. I can't live it for my parents and what they think I should be, or my siblings or my spouse. I've got to live my life to what I want it to be. And if I'm surrounding myself with people that aren't living the way that I want, right? It could even be the aspirational Chris, the person that I want to be in 2 years. I'm never going to get there because in a way, they're going to pull me down, and they're not going to try to do it in a malicious or mean way, but they're just going to slowly be like, oh, well, why are you going so hard? Why are you buying another business this year? Why are you doing all these things? Why are you doing the personal development? Why are you putting out this coursework? Why don't you guys ever have time on the weekends just to watch movies and chill and relax? Now, we do make time, right? Relationships are the most critical piece of everything in life, but we want to build relationships that are like, hey, we want to be exceptional in each of the 4 core pillars. And those pillars would be, we believe, faith, family, fitness, and finances. And then you've got fun, freedom, fulfillment, some other pillars that are still important, but not core. So yeah, I think that's great, Marcus, that you keyed on the tribe. Well, awesome.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
go ahead. Do you have some closing statements?
Well, I was just going to say, the cliche, I'd show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I think that is 100% true, but I think it's also show me your habits and I'll show you your future. So I think those both work together, having good habits and having a good tribe, and then being consistent with both of those. Hey, I'm going to consistently seek out good people, and I'm going to consistently seek out good habits for my life that are going to improve my life are massive.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Marcus, always a pleasure. We spent a ton of time in the trenches together, but hey, audience, we're so thankful for you to join us on the Exceptional Business Podcast, where we focus and learn how to buy, sell, and optimize Main Street businesses. We look forward to having you on the next show, and take care.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Exceptional Companies Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or via RSS so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you liked this show, please reach out through our website, www.excoadvisors.com, for free tools to order a copy of Selling Main Street, or to sign up for our free webinar on how to sell your Main Street business.